You thought special teams was bad before? Think again.
You're Locked On Ducks, your daily podcast on the Anaheim Ducks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
How's it going, everyone? Welcome to Locked On Anaheim Ducks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Jason Hernandez. I've been covering hockey for over a decade. A reminder, this podcast is free and available across all platforms. And this episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. New customers can place a $5 bet and you'll get $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Just visit FanDuel.com to get started. I've been covering the Ducks for the last 6 seasons on the Locked On Podcast Network, and I've been following the Ducks for a very, very long time, back during their heyday when they were winning division titles over and over again. This is not those days. This is the complete opposite of that. I honestly thought that the Ducks would be on the upswing right now. I thought higher of the Ducks. I thought they would have an improved power play. I thought they'd have overall better special teams with their new coaching staff. The complete opposite of that has happened. We are skewing towards, not there yet, but we're skewing towards historically bad special teams. What do I mean by that? Well, the last game against Minnesota Wild, the Ducks were, how can I put this lightly, abysmal. They were abysmal on special teams. They were 0 for 6 on the power play, 1 for 2 on the penalty kill, and that doesn't even count the penalty shot, or it doesn't count the delayed penalties that happened. It doesn't count any of that. We're not counting the Minnesota Wild goal on the delayed penalty. We're not calling the Ducks doing nothing on their delayed penalty. We're not counting Trevor Zegras muffing the penalty shot. We're not even going there. We're talking about the actual special teams. So here's what I'm going to say. My big takeaway, not just from the Wild game, but in general, a totality, is that the special teams has not done nearly enough this season, and there have got to now be some major changes, not just on the personnel that's on the ice, but completely revamping the lines on the power play, because it is simply not working right now at all. And looking at the last game, I heard the boos. I absolutely heard the boos from the crowd, especially as the game got later, once it became more apparent that the Ducks were going to lose this game. Not only lose this game, but lose this game just horrifically. And I'm looking specifically at the second power play, the third power play, which that one was divided between periods 2 and 3. But period 3, the Ducks had a lot of power play time and did absolutely jack with it. Really. I mean, what were the Ducks doing on especially those last couple power plays in the third period? And they were in a row, too. I mean, you had that Matt Boldy penalty against Frank Vatrano, and then, hey, something good, Troy Terry drawing penalties, because Troy Terry's very good at drawing penalties, at least. That was literally 2 seconds after Matt Boldy came out of the box, and then Zach Bogosian got called for high sticking, making Troy Terry bleed, because that was a double minor. And what did the Ducks do during that 6-minute stretch? They did nothing. They really did pass it around like nothing. There was hardly anything high danger, especially in the third period. Here's some stats for you guys. This might piss you off. And if this doesn't, then you're not really a Ducks fan. So I'm going to break down these statistics for you, looking at specifically the power plays of both teams. For the Anaheim Ducks, they had 12 minutes of power play time. They had 25 shot attempts. You know how many reached the net? 7. They missed 18 times. I know the Ducks have had a big problem this season with missing the net, and I know they've hit posts here and there. Cutter Gautier's definitely been snake bitten on that this season. Cutter Gautier's hit more posts than I can count at this point. But that's a lot of missed shots. That's too many, folks. So 18 missed shots, high danger scoring chances in 12 minutes, 4. They had 4 high danger chances in 12 minutes of power play time. That is not nearly enough. And yet, according to Natural Stat Trick, they had an expected goal of 1.76. That's saying something, folks. That really is. Oh, and by the way, they also allowed 2 shot attempts to Minnesota during, actually, I remember that now. That was, I think, on a block shot. One of them, Minnesota kind of got a semi-breakaway. So that one, okay. Minnesota, not too bad on the PK. Oh, wait, what? Did I just say that correctly? Minnesota not bad on the PK? I'll get to that in a second. Now let's look at Minnesota's power play time, because this will drive you nuts. Minnesota had exactly 3 minutes and 29 seconds of power play time. They scored a goal on one of them. Yeah, that one ticks me off. You know how many high danger chances Minnesota had? 5. In 3.5 minutes, Minnesota had 5 high danger chances. In 12 minutes, about 3.5 times that, the Ducks had 1 less high danger chance. How does that happen? I'll tell you how that happens. They're passing the puck around too effing much. They really are. They're shooting not everything, but they're shooting a lot of their shots from outside the home plate area. They're not getting many high danger chances. That is not good hockey, especially if you're just passing around the horn. You're shooting from the blue line. You're shooting from the point. You're shooting from beyond the faceoff dots. You're shooting from bad angles. All of the above happened during those 12 minutes of power play time for the Ducks. Those are not high percentage shots. And especially if you're missing all the dang time, then what does that do to the goalie? That does nothing to the goalie. Nothing. What do you think the goalie's going to do? He's just going to look to his left, look to his right. Okay, that one's okay, fine. Oh, okay, fine. Yeah, they're just all going to whiz past the goalie, and it's not going to be much work for the goaltending. It'll make his job a lot easier. Yes, I know that Filip Gustavsson has had a pretty solid-ish season in net, solid-ish, and he's been fine. He's been good. Am I being nice here? No, Gustavsson has been solid in nets. I mean, he's doing well above his expected goals, more than I thought it was going to be. And for a while, Filip Gustavsson was in the top 5 of goaltenders as far as average game score on hockey stat cards. So, he's had a pretty solid enough season. He's kind of saved Minnesota up to this point. So that, I'm not going to put too much on Gustafsson because he didn't see many shots on the power play. Ducks, you're making his job easy. You really are. You're piling up the expected goals. You're piling up the shot attempts, not piling up the shots, not piling up the high danger chances. Ticks me off. Meanwhile, poor Lukáš Dostal, what happens on the PK? The limited penalty kill time they had, the Ducks kind of stood around. They didn't really do much as far as getting the puck out of the zone. They hardly did anything as far as generating offense on the other side. Nothing much going on shorthanded. And you allow a goal on that one. But let me break down the goal just really quickly. That goal, I think, was just a combination of a little bit of bad luck and a lot of what are they doing? What is Jackson Lacombe doing? What was going on there? And it was a just mishmash in front of the net, and that's how Minnesota scored that one. And yes, this one was late in the game. There was only a couple minutes left. It's not really a garbage time goal because there is still time for the Ducks to kind of mount some kind of comeback. At the start of that, nope, none of that happened. So Kaprizov scored on the power play. By the way, that was his second goal of the game. Now we're going to get to the delayed penalty call because this was an extended amount of time that the Ducks had, not on the PK officially, but there was a delayed penalty. This was the end of the first period. Kirill Kaprizov had so much daylight on this 6-on-5. This one, I don't know who I'm going to put this one on more, because Frank Vetrano was covering Kaprizov, and then he kind of skewed away. He just kind of skated towards the blue line going after. I think it was Spurgeon at the time. I don't remember quite sure if it was Spurgeon, but there was something happening with, I think it was Mintyukov. Mintyukov was supposed to help cover him, and there was nobody on Kaprizov. He was right on the face-off dot, right in his sweet spot. Of course he's going to score that goal. So while not a power play goal for Minnesota, that one does slightly count as a man down for Anaheim. So technically, they allowed 2 goals with a man disadvantage. Both of those to Kirill Kaprizov, who the Ducks should not leave. I mean, you should know better than that, Anaheim Ducks. You really should. You should know that Kirill Kaprizov is still one of the more dangerous players on the ice. That shot of his has not gone away. I mean, did we forget that Kirill Kaprizov had a career season not that long ago? Oh, can I remind the fans about this? I'm going to do that right now just to really drill it in. Kirill Kaprizov had a monster season last year with 46 goals. The year before that, he was injured a little bit. 40 goals. He missed 15 games. 22. He scored 47 goals. He almost had a 50-goal season. I'm frankly surprised that he hasn't had a 50-goal season yet. He probably could have had one 2 years ago, if not for missing 15 games. I think he could have gotten 50 that season. Last year, he missed 7 games. Who knows? He could have gotten 50 then too. He's only getting better, folks. At least in my opinion, I think he is still getting better. And you allow him those shots, both on the man advantage for Minnesota. Are you freaking kidding me? Oh, and by the way, speaking of Minnesota on the man advantage, they've been okay at that so far this season. Okay, they've been better than okay at that so far this season. Minnesota, their power play right now is 22.2%. That's pretty good. But the 12 minutes going into this game, oh, I'm gonna piss y'all off even more. I know I'm way over time, but I'm just in a mood right now. I'm gonna piss y'all off even more. Going into this game, the Minnesota Wild were the 3rd worst penalty killing team in the National Hockey League. They were hovering around 70%, just below 70%. I think it was like 69%. Not nice. And then what do the Ducks do? They do nothing on the power play. So now, as of this recording, the Minnesota Wild, their PK has jumped up to an electric 72.7%. The Ducks have fallen down. Their PK now lies at 72.2%. So now the Ducks have the 5th worst penalty kill in the league. And oh, by the way, look at that. The 4th worst power play in the NHL. Buffalo surpassed them. The Islanders surpassed them. Washington is catching up. Boston's catching up. St. Louis Blues, they're probably going to pass Anaheim this weekend against the Columbus Blue Jackets. So you know what? I mean, the Ducks' special teams is almost getting historically bad again. We saw this before where the Ducks were a bottom 5 in both, and that was one of their worst seasons in recent memory. And with the Ducks losing again, I hate to say this, but we're kind of getting to that mark once again. That's what is the most frustrating about this, is we're getting very, very close to that kind of mark. And it's frustrating. It's really, really frustrating, folks. I'm way over time, so we're going to head to the first intermission right now. I'll rant a little bit more later, and I'm going to break down as much of this game as possible, if you really want me to, on the other side. Hello, folks. How's it going? Let's have a brief word from FanDuel, because they are America's #1 sportsbook, and they are the place to get all your action on the football, which is going on this weekend. Yeah, that's right. Right now, new customers, by the way, get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. That's right. You can have all the live bets to place on the NFL all in one place thanks to the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Let's say you have a feeling in the middle of a game. Check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Maybe don't bet on the Ducks on that one. Maybe not. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the Locked On Podcast Network. And please, folks, gamble responsibly. Maybe don't bet on the Ducks right now. Welcome back to Locked On Anaheim Ducks. I am crying through the pain right now. I'm your host, Jason Hernandez. Let's get into that game. I talked about special teams enough. Let's talk about the game. I mean, the game itself drove me nuts. First period, I don't know if the Ducks came out a little bit flat or a lot flat. It looked like they came out just, okay, we're here. We're going to play hockey. That's fine. Jake Middleton scored early on in the game, and then Marcus Foligno scored literally a minute and a half after that. This was pretty early in the game. Immediately, Minnesota jumps out to a 2-0 lead. Yeah, part of me did not want to go back and watch this. Part of me didn't even want to go back and try to watch the highlights, and I eventually did. And you know what? That was a big mistake. That's why I have this awesome, squeeze puck. I'm going to be squeezing this a lot today, folks. Thank you, Locked On, for this, by the way. This thing's going to get worn out by mid-season. Third goal. The one from Kirill Kaprizov that I just talked about, that was the one that I said, okay, in a few minutes, we've gone from 0-0 to 3-0, and it feels like the game is already over. It literally felt like that, didn't it? Was the crowd booing? Yes, they were. They were booing a lot more later, folks, because once we got to the second period, there was a whole lot of nothing going on that Ducks power play, their second one of the game. I don't know what to make of that. I don't. Yeah, the Ducks had some at least better shots on that second power play. The first one was bad. The first one, the Ducks did on the first one. Second one, a little bit better, but not that much. The third power play going between periods 2 and 3, that was the one where the Ducks put absolutely nothing on the net. That was the one where the Ducks actually allowed Minnesota to come back the other way. What are you doing there, Ducks? Nothing. Power plays 4, 5, and 6 after that. Horrible. Oh, third period, I think that was the worst one. That was mistake after mistake after mistake. To the Ducks' credit, Robbie Fabry did score on a Minnesota turnover, probably their only bad turnover of the game. And that was it. And that was at least making it 3-1 Minnesota. So yay, some kind of hope. Robbie Fabry just goes in by himself unassisted. I shouldn't say unassisted. That was assisted by the Minnesota Wild. Because that was Kirill Kaprizov trying to bounce it to, I forget who he tried to bounce it off to. I'm actually going to check that right now. That was him passing it off or trying to pass it off to Jared Spurgeon. And Spurgeon muffed that pass. So a little turnover there, and that's what resulted in the Robbie Fabry goal, making it 3-1. The fourth one. This is where I say that mistakes like this should not happen. It should not happen to your worst enemy. So the Ducks have possession of the puck after not scoring on 3 power plays, and this was almost literally right after that. The Ducks are already getting booed at this point of the game. They just had 6 minutes of power play chance and nothing happening on the power play. So as soon as the Ducks gain control after we're back to 5-on-5, you have the Ducks trying to retreat back on their own net. And this was, I think it was Ross Johnston who tried to corral control of the puck, passed it back to Jackson Lacombe behind their own net to try to set up. Okay, that's fine. You're setting up again. That's fine. That makes sense. As soon as Jackson Lacombe has the puck to Lukáš Dostal's right-hand side, Jackson Lacombe tries to pass it back to, I think it was either Johnston or Zellweger at the time, and he shoots it right off the net. Jackson Lacombe fired it off the side of the cage. It went right to Kirill Kaprizov, who passed it right to Marco Rossi, who was wide open. Wide open. That made it 4-1. You think the Ducks fans were pissed off before. That goal should not have happened. I went back several times around this time of the game to kind of look at the crowd reaction, to hear some of the booing going on. There was booing going on at this point of the game. You don't shoot the puck off your own freaking net. I mean, to quote a certain other podcaster out there, that would be a dang it of some kind. That would be not a blooper, but that's one that you want back if you're the defense. So that made it 4-1. Then it was 5-1 on the Kirill Kaprizov power play goal. And then towards the end of the game, that's when things got a little bit spicy. Mason McTavish scored with about 12 and a half seconds left. Another garbage time goal. What do you mean by garbage time goal, Hernandez? Here's what I mean by that. I call a garbage time goal a goal that doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. That's the second time in 3 games that has happened this season. In fact, that's the second time it's happened with Mason McTavish. I generally don't count garbage time goals as goals. Stimpy, where are you getting this from? The reason I say garbage time is to coin an old phrase from the late, great Chick Hearn. Chick Hearn, the longtime broadcaster of the Lakers, he would say, okay, we're in garbage time now, when the Lakers will be up by like 25 or 30 points. The opposing team would try to come back. The points wouldn't really matter. It'd go from down 30 to down 20. Oh my gosh. The Lakers only won by 20 now. Okay, same thing. Minnesota's up by 4. Oh, they only won by 3 on a goal that doesn't even matter. I really don't call garbage time goals real goals. So I guess by that metric, has Mason McTavish actually scored 2 goals this season? Because this happened 2 games ago on Dia de los Muertos night, where Mason McTavish scored a late goal against the Blackhawks with like 2 or 3 seconds left. It was 3 seconds. Sorry. It was 3 seconds left that Mason McTavish scored a garbage time goal. So instead of the Ducks losing 4-1, they lost 4-2. Big whoop-de-doo. So they lost by 2 goals instead of 3. Yeah. This time, instead of losing by 4, they lose by 3. Okay, oh joy. Was there much celebrating going on? No, there was hardly any celebrating. The goal got scored. You know, they kind of went, okay, whatever. We're still down by 3 with a few seconds left. I think it was like 12 seconds left at the time. And yeah, that was the final score, 5-2. So what happened after that? You know what? I'm going to not say it right now. We're going to head to the second intermission. I'll just have a couple more quick thoughts on that on the other side. And now a brief word from the Gametime app. And folks, if you haven't used Gametime yet, then you're missing out on all the terrific Gametime picks, the flash deals, zone deals. You could save so much money on tickets right now by downloading the Gametime app. I've used the Gametime app. It has come in the clutch several times when getting baseball tickets, but baseball's over now, so you could come in the clutch when it comes to basketball tickets, football tickets. Oh yeah, football's back, by the way. Football's still going, rather, I should say. Hockey tickets. Maybe you want to see one of the Ducks' final 3 homestand games. Maybe they'll win one of those games. I hope. Then you could check out the latest deals on Gametime. And right now, Gametime has an exclusive zone deal for the NHL Winter Classic if you want to see actual good hockey at Wrigley Field. Yeah, if you want to see good hockey, go to Chicago. Imagine me saying that. Go to the Gametime app to purchase tickets and get 10% off bleacher seating and 20 to 25% off on home plate area seats at Wrigley Field. That's pretty awesome, isn't it? So, right now, take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime picks. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. That's LOCKEDONNHL. Download Gametime today. What time is it? Gametime. Welcome back to episode number 950-something of Locked on Anaheim Ducks. Once again, you're locked in with an exasperated Jason Hernandez talking about yet another Ducks loss. I think the everydayers here are starting to realize that I am sound like a broken record here because it is the same crap over and over and over again. This special team doesn't work. That special team doesn't work. They're giving up a bad goal here. There's a bad turnover here. There's another shot off the post. There's another shot that doesn't go in. There's more shots that are on the blue line. There's a garbage time goal at the end of a game. I talked about that in regards to the Blackhawks game last week. I'm talking about it again in regards to the game against the Minnesota Wild. A goal scored with a few seconds left. Did that piss off Minnesota a little bit at the end of the game? I think it did a little bit. It may have ruffled some feathers because the game was decided at that point. Minnesota was going to win. We all knew they were going to win. And yet the Ducks just kind of fluttered one over Gustafsson. They were playing, now they're playing their butts off. Now they're trying to score goals a little bit late, don't you think? So what do you do if you're Minnesota? Well, you know what? You get pissed off. I feel like I've been saying that a lot today. My apologies to the everydayers. My apologies, but you know what? I am ticked off. I saw a comment saying, yeah, get mad, Stimpy. You know what? I am mad. But so was Minnesota. Because at the end of the game, we had a little bit of fists flying, some fisticuffs happening, and a near fight that, God, I wish if this had happened, I would have been ticked off that I wasn't there for that. But the refs didn't let anything happen at the end of the game. We had a bunch of penalties. We had a bunch of stuff going on. Zach Bogosian got in there. Yakov Treinen got in there. Radko Gudas playing a little bit of goonery there. Gudas probably could have not gone a little bit farther. Ross Johnston going in there. And we almost, and I actually didn't believe this until I saw the pictures. Hat tip to Diener Bloom on this one, who actually messaged me and said we almost had a goalie fight. Lukas Dostal and Philip Gustafsson, they were kind of skating towards each other. They both met at the blue lines. They both kind of stared at each other. And then nothing happened. I mean, how long has it been since we've had a legit goalie fight? I get that Lukas Dostal doesn't really want to fight, but you know what? He's got to be getting more and more ticked off at his teammates, leaving him high and dry over and over and over again. Let's face it, though. Lukas Dostal is not as hardened as John Gibson. If that was John Gibson in net, he absolutely would have freaking fought Gustafsson. Gibby is so hardened. He's so battle-tested. If that was Gibby in net, he would have tried to kill him. He would have tried to fight him. But not Dostal. Not yet. As much as I love Lukas Dostal, I mean, let's call a spade a spade. He's not exactly a fighter. Just like the rest of the Ducks team. The rest of the Ducks team had no fight in them most of the game. They did practically nothing. I don't blame the fans for booing in the third period. I don't blame it at all. I mean, you think the Ducks are pissed off? You think that everyone... No, the fans are ticked off. The fans are super upset. I mean, what are the Ducks doing right now? They're showing us absolutely nothing. They're on a bad losing streak at the moment. They've lost their first 3 games of what should have been an easier homestand. They've now lost 4 in a row. They've now lost, I think it's 6 of their last 7 games, dating back to that road trip. This is bad times, folks. This is horrible times. You lose to the Blackhawks, one of the worst teams in the league. That looks bad. When you have a power play that is going towards historically bad, I mean, not nearly as bad as 2020, 2021. Remember that, folks? Remember when I talked about that? Remember how bad that power play was? 8.9%. The Ducks are heading there fast. We're getting close to 2021 numbers. Yeah, I mean, it's bad. I That's how bad they are right now. That's how mad they are making me right now. This special teams has got to get fixed now. And it has to get fixed in a hurry. A lot has to change. What has to change? New personnel, new systems, the assistant coaches not doing enough. I mean, what's happening here? And the blame has to go to a lot of places. The blame has to go to some of the players. The blame has to go to the coaches, not just the assistant coaches, but head coach Greg Cronin as well, who, by the way, is getting on the hot seat little by little. I know there was that report earlier this week. I'm not going to address it full force, but here's what I am going to say. Greg Cronin is on the hot seat. I would not be surprised if he is the first head coach fired this season. I wouldn't be surprised. All right, I'm done. If you want to follow this podcast, subscribe. Please subscribe. It'll make me feel better. Subscribe on YouTube. You can follow me on Twitter X at StimpyJD. The show's Twitter X is at LO_Ducks. I feel like I'm going to throw up watching this team right now. You could email me at lockedonanaheimducks@gmail.com. I need a drink, folks. For Locked On Anaheim Ducks, I'm Jason Hernandez saying have a great rest of the weekend if you can. Please remember to be safe out there. Please be kind to one another. Please be kind to yourselves because you're watching this Ducks team right now. I get it. Please be kind to yourselves, folks. And Ducks, try to fly together.